So one second. Yeah, now the presentation. Just 1 second. Take some time. Good. Okay, you can see now, right?
Yes.
Okay. With you our program with an online meeting when we presented you the program and provided some information related to your home quarantine, and then we'll share with you 2 records related to Israeli background, historical and cultural, and we shared with you also some tips at the end of the first record, and they were related to also some aspects of Israeli culture that we spoke also during online meetings about Israel and common way to communicate here by direct communication. The people are here very straightforward, which can be, considered in other countries as maybe impatient or impolite. Here's the norm. And people also will refer to you, will address you with your first name, not the sir, ma'am, etc. They would be very, again, straightforward. They will call you your first name, and then that would be a proper way to, or accepted way here in Israel to communicate. Also, Israeli is very friendly, and when it comes to friendly touches or tapping on the shoulder or things like that. And again, we are aware that it's not necessarily acceptable in many other countries. So if you feel uncomfortable with some of these gestures, you should set the boundaries and let know the person who communicating with that it's unpleasant for you. So yeah. And we spoke about it a lot. Israelis use body language a lot. They're very loud. But yeah, it's still important for us to remind you. Yeah, that's the next slide. Another reminder was we chose from the second record, where we took you, as I said, to virtual tour all over Israel about the big cities or places with saint places or special places for Christianity. And also we spoke about the way how you can go from between cities in the cities, and for using public transportation you only need to have a Rafkav, this card that you see in the picture. You can purchase this card almost everywhere. It costs only 5 shekel. But you need to know that there are 2 types of this card. One is this one you can buy almost everywhere, and personal one with your personal ID information, and then you can this kind of card you can purchase in central bus stations or train stations, bigger places. So sometimes in big malls there is a stand or office when you can purchase personal cards. And an advantage of personal cards is that it if you're loading a specific amount of money on this card and then your card being lost, you lost it, or it was stolen with other things, or I don't know what happened to that, or it stopped working. So you need to go again to the one of the big central places, and they will replace you this card with a new one with personal information and also with a saved amount of money. Yes, so you won't lose it. So from this point of view, it's more, there is advantage of using such cards. But again, just it depends, how quickly you need to go from here to there. It's better for you to have at least any kind of rough cuff, and you cannot go on public transportation without it. So it's important for you to know. Okay. Sarah?
Okay, so to recapture what we spoke about in the past 2 days, what are the basic values in caregiving work? We talked about human dignity, autonomy, talked about tolerance, empathy, compassion, and of course, care. And I want to add, perhaps I didn't stress enough, that these past 2 years, year and a half with the corona, it has taken an incredible toll on all of those people that are disabled, either they're elderly or another way disabled and homebound, and it's made a big negative impact on their life. As you can imagine, being more stressed, more distanced from family, from friends, more introverted, and perhaps depressed. I think that in coming to Israel at this point in time, or anywhere that you're approaching a caregiving opportunity, I think that it would be very, very much helpful to take in mind that care is not just what we spoke about before, but also care in trying to preserve and enhance and maybe even improve our clients' ability to be involved with family, with friends, with types of interests that they've had before, music, arts, visiting places that are no longer perhaps functioning because of corona, because of distancing and so on. But hopefully, you being young and using the media is something that you are familiar with. You can help your client through the use of the media, whatever facilities they have in the home, or perhaps you can even ask to improve the facilities, internet, and telephone, and perhaps bigger screens, in order to maintain some kind of involvement and be active. I think it's very important that you incorporate into your client's daily routine, not just eating and bathing and cleaning and so on, but also some time of physical exercise and some type of mental stimulation, whether it's playing a game, whether it's telling stories, whether it's calling friends and family, taking the initiative to help them initiate. And I think this is a very, very important part of your job. And if you take the time to do it, I think that you'll see the rewards very soon. People that have become very introverted and distanced from, all of their activities and friends have a tendency to, to lose everything. Mind and body are one. And so, when the mind is not activated properly, the body follows right past it. Next slide, Margareta. An intercultural encounter. Intercultural differences are difference in traditions, food, norms, beliefs, values, which vary between nations, people, ethnic groups, speakers of different languages. Every culture has its own expression, a way of expressing itself. Every culture has its way of defeating conflicts, passing messages, resolving conflicts, and talking about it. Every culture has its own way to express emotions and talk about emotions. And as Margareta said, and I've stressed before, in Israel, you're expected to speak your mind. And if you think that someone will understand what you're thinking or feeling without speaking about it, then you're probably wrong. And so we do encourage you to be forward and to say what you need, what you mean, and hopefully you will adjust slowly but surely into the culture of the family that you're going to be with. And you have to expect, that some things will be offensive to you, smells, tastes, behaviors perhaps, but we all as professionals know how to put that someplace else. Next slide.
Yeah, thank you. I will continue from here. There are just also a few reminders related to, we will also share with you a record related to your rights and your obligations as caregiver. And we also wanted to clarify something because, we're frequently being asked about visas and how they can be extended. So again, if somebody in the group, some of you don't remember all the details, we strongly recommend that you, will watch it again and, see, pay attention to all the nuances. Basically, your visa as a foreign caregiver can be extended until 51 months, and after when 51 months pass, you can receive an extended visa for another 12 months. But there are few few paths. One is in case you took care for someone, a patient, a client, less than 1 year, then you will after by the end of 51 months, you will stop be his or her caregiver, and you can extend your visa for another 12 months and be registered by placement agency as temporary worker, and then you will work in different places, in different houses, and you will replace workers, caregivers like you, who will go for vacations, to visit families abroad, etc., etc. And yeah, that's how it works. And after those additional 12 months, you will need to leave Israel. So in total, there will be 63 months. In case there was option A. If you option B, in case you provided care for the same person more than 1 year before 51 months, then you will be able to stay with the same person as his or her caregiver, and your visa would be extended for another 12 months. And afterwards, it will be dependent also on the condition again of your patient, and if he or she might need might still need care. Then there is a way for you to to apply the documents and to receive additional extension of your visa, so even more than 63 months. But as I said, it would be in cases of if yeah, if you taking care for the same person for a very long time, and then whenever the same person, after additional extension that you receive, if he or she will pass away, or there will be another reason that he or she wouldn't need your help anymore, then you will have to they won't receive any additional extension, and you will have to leave Israel. So that is the law related to the maximum maximum period of time of your visa, extending your visa, and something that we wanted to remind you today. Also, I wanted to remind and emphasize that in case you wish to leave or change employers, you first of all you need to do it only after you have made a genuine and sincere try to to fulfill your obligations, to take care of the person, and you tried your best and still things didn't work. So of course, in this situation that you have done all this, you don't need to receive a special permission, but you do need to inform both the employer and the placement agency, and allow them also to find a replacement for you. So during the record that we talk about this topic more broadly than today, we also looked with you how many days or how much time, weeks and months, again depending on how long are you working for the same employer. Based on that, you need to know how much time in advance you need to give this prior written notice. Another summary of reminders related to the obligations. We'll go through this quickly. One of them already mentioned. Yes, special obligatory to provide this prior written notice. Just spoke about it. Another to geographic limitations for changing the employer. So all of you special geographic limitations in your visa, and then basically three areas, three geographic areas, then you can be within. So also, if you don't remember all the nuances, you can watch it again, but please just remember, whenever you're changing the employer, it's a specific geographic area, what it allows for you, where to be, either periphery or it can be peripheral and central, or it can be both peripheral, central, and Tel Aviv. Yeah, so depending on what kind of limitation you have there. Another reminder is that there is foreign caregivers who have frequent changes of employment. So of course, everybody understands that it's not always working smoothly, and there is a reason to change an employer. And sometimes it's even the reason that not the worker is raising, but someone from another side. But still, in any case, those who switch employer frequently, they probably will go under this category of special supervision. Another reminder for you is to remember that at any point of your employment in Israel, not only now when you just arrived, but during the whole time, what we spoke about maximum time, you need to be registered by a licensed placement agency. And just a reminder that you also can change not only employer, but also placement agency. But please make sure that this placement agency has a special license from Population Immigration Border Authority, and you're being, assisted and hired by a licensed agency. And there will be a last reminder here on this slide is related to pandemic limitations. It's not, it's not a right of obligation, or at least up until now, that's written in your contract, but it's very important, on a moral way, I would say, to follow up the guidance and of Ministry of Health, and to see how it might affect activities that you plan or your patient, your client planned, and to also to update him or her in case you're finding something that that wouldn't allow those planned activities. And just be mindful, what Sarah said, it affected very much the population. It affected even more the people that you will take care. And from terms of, from pandemic definitions or categories, it's often population that would be defined as population at risk. So please also remember that. And just follow the updates of Ministry of Health. They're very accessible in English. So just share with you, it was already this morning, the more information about call center. We also presented during our introductional meeting. And we saw how it works and how complaints being received and how it's being processed. So yes, just a reminder of this mechanism. And generally speaking, you can refer to call center not only to necessarily to complain and to let us know that something went wrong, but also whenever you need any information on any issue or detail related to your stay or your employment period in Israel. So yeah, that would be related to the contact center slide. And next one is for you, Sarah. Delay in it. Yeah. Sarah, your microphone is.
We spoke about building and developing a relationship with our patient. First step in any kind of communication with our client or patient. And I want to stress again that the family, especially the client, is also in kind of a crisis situation upon having a caregiver come and live in his home. And so it's very important that you don't take it personally, especially in the beginning. They can't have anything against you. They don't know you, but the situation itself is very stressful for them. Not even to mention the fact that it's holidays and having a stranger in their home is also stressful, especially a person that, is a different faith, different culture, it's not really, relating or responding to all the cues that are, in that situation. But they are in a crisis, mourning the life that they had before of independence, and many other feelings can, overwhelm a person in the beginning. And not to mention the fact that holidays are always stressful for everyone, healthy people, and of course, people that are less healthy. So what's important in building a relationship? Good communication, coordination of expectations, and expectations are sometimes, we're aware of them, but sometimes we're not aware of them. Building trust, creating the caregiving alliance and taking into account social and cultural components. Next slide. So tools for effective communication, we spoke about that. Understanding how others communicate can be the key to getting our message across in order to develop effective communication style. Here are a few tips to keep in mind. Take ownership, use the I statements, maintain eye contact if you feel comfortable with it, voice your needs and desires confidently, and of course, don't forget to smile. To smile and to look a person in the eye reveals everything that's in your heart. And if you're sincere, I think that that's the best way to begin any kind of effective communication, smiling sincerely. And of course, I encourage you to use all the senses when communicating with someone who is disabled. Perhaps they don't hear so well, perhaps they don't see so well, perhaps they don't speak English or understand you so well. So when you use all of the senses in order to get a person's concentration, to touch him lightly, to speak in a soft voice, to smile, to look him in the eye, then you have a better chance of getting your message across and also in understanding your client. And of course, I recommend when your client is sitting, you sit. Eye level is very important. To look a person in the eye means that you have to be at his eye level, not above him, not behind him, but in front of him and his level. So tools for effective communication, we spoke about active listening. Find out what your patient's opinions, thoughts, and emotions are, and try not to make assumptions, but very important, not to make judgments. Reflection, in order to make sure you understand what your patient meant, try to reflect what you understood, what he said by saying, I understand that so-and-so, I see that so-and-so, and ask, of course, did I say what you meant? And of course, using a person's words gives him a feeling of affirmation that he has been heard. And empathy, try to empathize to keep your empathize to your patient, even if you don't agree with him. And the I message, when you talk about your opinion and thoughts, use the words I, because of course, truth is not in one place alone. Next slide, please. So tools for effective communication that we mentioned, patience, very key, very important. Be very patient with your client and his family. This situation is new to them, and it takes time to get to know each other. And of course, you must concentrate on the fact that it's not one client that you need to deal with. It's usually a family or several people in the family that are going to be involved, and you're going to be part of the team. And it's important to find out and to get to know who the people are, what their expectations are, as well as your expectations and your specific client. Tolerance, even if you don't agree with your patient, try to respect his opinion. And of course, very important to try to find out about a person's life, what his history was, where he lived, what were his achievements, what were his disappointments, who are his children, and so on and so forth. All of that makes up a person's life. And of course, the nonverbal communication that we spoke about when talking to a patient, maintain eye contact, try to speak at eye level, not above him, and relax your speech, calm your speech, and relax. If we are relaxed in the situation, if we are confident in our communication, all of that is projected through our body language and through our voice. And of course, whenever you think about how we communicate with animals, dogs, cats, other animals that are in our, daily life, they don't necessarily learn the Philippine language or they learn the Hebrew language. They learn to listen to our tone of voice, our intonation, our, the rhythm of our speech and what we project through our feelings. And so this is very important to try to take into account when trying to communicate with our client who are impaired in their communication skills. Anat, I see you're petting your dog. Does he know Hebrew?
My dog is
Oh,
down.
it's a cat. You have a cat and a dog. So how do they communicate? Dog language or cat language?
I think they found a language
They
on their
found
own. Yeah, they found a way to communicate.
exactly. And that's exactly how we all communicate, without words and without, that kind of a language. So tips for creating a good relationship: be mindful of how you start a conversation, ask open questions, use the I statement, be specific in the message that you want to transfer, and give others the attitude that you want to receive. And I think that, all of you are here because you know that this is something that's appropriate for you. It's type of a calling, and you're all very brave. And if you made this big jump in your life to go to such a strange, foreign, faraway country, I'm sure that you all have all of that in your heart, and you're going to be doing very well. Tips for creating good relationship. Okay, we know, we talked about that. Margareta, what's our next slide?
Sorry, there's some just stuck and not moving. So I'm waiting for it to react. Yeah,
Okay.
So I'll continue from here. Culture shock and adjustment. And so it's also one of the records that we shared with you this morning, and I hope you had time to watch it. And those of you who did, and we again strongly recommend you to do it later. The topic that we discussed is quite important. It's related to the, to the migration, the process that you all started the moment that you landed in Israel, and even before, whenever you decided to come to go abroad and work somewhere else, not at home. And we talk about the feelings and emotions, continuing the talk that Sarah started yesterday related to emotions. What emotions and feelings we are facing and dealing with whenever we move into another country, if it's temporary for a few years, and facing and diving in totally different culture. So we spoke about that sometimes these emotions or feelings not easy, not pleasant, and the things that might help you to deal with it. One of them, first of all, to realize that you might have culture shock. Then other tips is more practical, I would say, action tips. To be a tourist, travel and learn about the country, and also again linked somewhat to the second record that we had. Go to the other places, even if whenever there are pandemic limitations, we still even walking around in the city that we live, still all look differently when the place that you're coming from. So try to be a tourist, and to gain some positive experiences and emotions. Also, it's highly recommended to study the local language, which is in here, because of Israeli Hebrew, and develop a social life and meet new people also help. And hopefully, meeting between each other and spending this, being on the same flight and spending some time together in quarantine also help you with that already some point. And you can also stay in touch, afterwards and meet people, other Filipino migrants, so not necessarily Filipino migrants, but Israelis, etc. Just expand your social circle. And also be proactive about your physical health. Pay attention to your diet, to what you need, hygiene, regular rest, exercise, and relaxation. Actually, Sarah spoke about it a lot, not related to culture shock, but just in general, to your good feeling and to the importance of being a good caregiver and provide care for somebody is only possible when taking care of yourself as well. So yeah, please remember to do that. And also something that also might help is to keep a diary or blog and social net, or if you're not writing person, you can also find a way to vent it, to share this emotions you experience with friend, with a family member, with somebody who you can just share what you have gone through. Yeah, and also another thing that is, of course, very important is to keep in touch with your family, with your loved ones. And we also spoke about it in this record, and we also had a special section for how you can stay in touch and communicate with your family, which and in which case the relationship now became a long distance relationship. So some, again, useful tips that might help you to set a specific time, day, hour, and duration of the contact. Yeah, when you will speak, how long, how much time you will have, or your person that you're coordinating and wanted to talk to. If it's half an hour, just to to set expectations and time to be both of you available for this time. You also need to make sure that this time for communication will be high quality time without any interference, that's including household worries or members who can come in between and not allow you to talk the way you would. So also please pay attention to that and try to avoid sorting out the relationship claims. So some, more complicated things that you won't necessarily understand each other via text messages, and leave those moments for your video communication, for your video calls, talks, where you will be able to see each other and hear intonation of each other, not to leave it to interpretation, something that you might not understand, or you wouldn't be necessarily understand what you wanted to say. Yeah, that would be it. And also wanted to remind you that long distance relationship has definitely its own challenges, but it also allow to take your relationship to another level, maybe more deeper level, because you have less routine to discuss, and more actual things or feelings, thoughts, concerns, so you can share with each other, and that's how you might, again, try to deepen your relationship. So that would be it for now. From the reminders, from the presentation, and that's the time that we stop for your questions. We didn't receive written questions in the forum. Again, possibly it has something to do that we shared it with you only this morning, so you might have enough time to process it, or maybe you were too shy. So we want to check with you now. If you have any question related to one of the topics that I just reminded you that we shared during the program, or you have questions to things that we didn't mention yet, please let us know.
Would anyone like to share? Well, I'll just tell you all that, our holiday that begins tonight at sunset is our new year, and it is 2 days. It ends on Wednesday at sunset. And a week later, we have another holiday. We call it Yom Kippur, and it's a day of atonement, a day of, everyone gives himself his own judgment of good and bad. And it's a time that you should make, that's when we make our resolutions. I think in other communities, perhaps everyone does it in the new year. You make New Year resolutions. So usually we do it on Yom Kippur, which is, close enough to our new year. And I want to wish you all to make resolutions with us that will, enhance your life and help you grow as individuals and as caregivers. And I wish you all the best. If anyone has anything they'd like to share about any of the topics that we spoke about before, this is the time before we say goodbye.
Sam?
Margareta, you have
Yeah,
something?
I just wanted to check whether there's something technical related to the program. את לא הולכת לשאול אותם לגבי הבן אדם המבוגר?
את רוצה? אפשר? יש לנו
זה
זמן.
מה שעשינו,
אז בואי.
פשוט לא עשינו את זה פעם אחרונה, כי היו הרבה שאלות, אז
אוקיי.
את רוצה לנסות שתשאלי ונשחרר אותם לחמש, ננסה. כן.
ננסה. Okay. I see that everyone is being a little bit, it would be really nice if we can kind of, before we part ways, so to speak, maybe share an experience. That is.
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
Hi,
Hi,
Sarah.
hi.
I just
Are you?
Yes.
Are you
Yes.
Ramil, Frank, Archie? Who are you?
Ramil.
Ramil. Okay, Ramil.
I just
Please.
want to ask if my employer asked me to drive her car, and that is not part of my in the contract. Can I agree with her to drive and ask for additional pay? And how will I get my driver's license here? Thank you.
Good question. Do you have an international driver's license in the Philippines?
Yeah, but I left in the Philippines. I left my international license.
Okay, but you do have an international driving license. Okay, like real sure, but maybe Margareta has more information about that. But if you're a tourist, if I'm a tourist, if I go abroad and I have an international driving license, then usually it's honored. I'm not sure about your driving license, but I'm sure you can check online.
Usually related to that, in Israel, they can use the international standard of drive license for a year, and then you need to renew it here in a special place that grants permits for grants licenses. So you will need to go there with your document, and then you'll be able to change it to receive an Israeli document. But you can do this procedure towards the end of your first year, and during the first year you use your current license. And related to payment, I think it's something that you should just coordinate with with your employer. But personally, yeah, I'm trying to put myself in her shoes. If it's something that you would, is it as a part of the care? It's not that you're becoming a driver, right? And if it's something that you sometimes take somewhere, it might seem as as a whole package of providing care. But on the other hand, again, it's your work that you are doing, and you can request what seems as a fair payment for services that you provide. And the other side, may agree or not agree to that, but talk about it. I think it's it's a part of every employer and employee relationship. So
Thank you.
Sarah, would you add something?
I would also say that if a person has a car and is not able to use the car, that usually is not such a common situation. Usually if people don't use a car, they would not keep the car because there are expenses. You have to pay a yearly license just to have a car, not a driving license, but having the car valid. And also there's insurance payments and so on. So I would assume that this would not be a common situation to begin with. Most people that use cab service, sometimes family members, but if they are not able to drive, then I would assume that keeping a car would not be. But if they do have a car and they ask you to drive it, I would think that there would be an addition of having you insured for the car, and it's also a big responsibility. I don't think I would like, I always feel that when I'm driving, especially once you get out on the street and you'll see how people drive here, and you'll see the issue that is with parking, how that's very sparse cabs, because if I want to get someplace and I'm not readily available. So, would be part of the, the everyday lifestyle that you would have to negotiate it. But like, to specify, it is a responsibility to take people in a car. When you're driving, many things can happen. You want to make sure that you're insured for whatever happens. Okay.
Thank you.
Roads here are very dangerous. You have to be a very good driver and know how to negotiate on the roads here. I don't know how it is in the Philippines. I've been to India, so I know how it is in India, but it's not quite like India. Anyone else like to share something of relationships with elder people and their families? Something that they can respond. Anyone? Okay. Nat, do you have something you'd like to comment on? You are on that. No, okay.
I couldn't hear it. Well,
Oh, you didn't hear? Okay.
no. No one? No one else? You know, this is our last meeting. All right. Kanila siya
So,
din?
and to have a good balabait, as we've heard that word before, and have a great year.
We'll just add a few reminders, just 1 second. Just 1 second. Want to remind you about how we stay in touch, even after this meeting and after, end of your quarantine, probably after Rosh Hashanah, after this New Year holiday. So first of all, we sent you a link to register at the call center in the real beginning of the program when you just landed. And I hope you all succeed to do that. And those of you who didn't have Israeli phone numbers but have it now, so please remember to register there. And those of you who still don't have, do it after you will, will with the quarantine. And you can also contact call center through phone number or through a form, or you can either, leave the, request for information or complain if something went wrong or something, a topic that you want to get consultation on. And we, still be in the Viber group. So there you can also use this one so far. We'll also after a few moments after we'll finish this meeting, we'll share with you a form, a questionnaire. It would the very short one, and will require from you a minute or so to fill this form. We basically want to check with you to ask you about your opinion on the program that we prepared for you, that we reviewed just now and presented for you during this week. So if you have any comments or things that you think might improve this program, we'll be very happy to hear that, and we'll try also to to include and to make this program better and more useful and more more appropriate, more fitting better new workers like you who just arriving to Israel. Yeah, so we're very happy to hear your feedback, receive your feedback in this form. And I think that would be it from my end. In terms of the reminders, in terms of the good wishes, I will join beautiful blessings and wishes that Sarah just shared with you before. And also I will wish you to get successfully through the adjustment period, which might take some time, of course, something that you can just, close your eyes and open in the next few days, already a few months after that. So it will take some time, but I hope we have both patience and strength for that. And overall, generally speaking, during your time and stay in Israel, you will achieve the goals that you had planned, set for yourself before you came to Israel, and that it would be again overall for you a good and meaningful experience. That would be.
Shana Tova, everyone.
Shana Tova. Thank you very much.
Shana to.
We also say Chag
Tova.
Sameach, happy holiday, Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Hello. Toda.
Thank you, everybody.
And we say Behatzlacha.
Behatzlaka.
Behatzlacha.
Good
Good
job.
luck.
Behatzlaka.
Nakaano tayo.
Thank you, everybody.